Hedrick M. Humphreys, Sergeant, 92nd Division, 365th Infantry, Fort Huachuca, Arizona.
My name's Arthur Harness, Sergeant, Special Weapon Troop, 9th Cavalry.
My name is Sergeant Major Retired Albert Griffin, Jr., Company C, 24th Infantry Regiment, Camp Gifu, Japan.
My name is Bailey Willie G. My rank is Corporal. I am a
Buffalo Soldier.
Buffalo Soldier.
Buffalo Soldier.
Buffalo Soldier.
Men like Hedrick Humphreys, Art Harness, Reverend Willie Bailey, Albert Griffin, Jr., and other black veterans of World War II and Korea are unique. They are the last of an all but invisible group whose stories of valor and honor are just now coming into light. They came from small towns and big cities from across America and into the legend of the Buffalo Soldiers.
I was born in Gary, Indiana. Came to Chicago when I was 2 years old, so I don't know anything about Gary. But I grew up on the south side of Chicago.
Born in Arkansas, stayed there until I was 9 years old. At the time I was going to school. My father, he always liked to take care of his family. He felt like he could do a better job out in Oregon working in the shipyards because World War II had started.
I grew up in Kansas. I was born in Junction City, Kansas, a little town about 3 miles west of Fort Riley, Kansas.
And I've been told I was born at Fort Benning, Georgia, in the 24th Infantry. And my dad was in the Army.
Depression. It was right at the end of the Depression. And my brother got me a job out in East Chicago, Indiana. General American Corporation building boxcars. Oh, that was a delicious job. $35 a week.
And you didn't have as much as you thought you should have. And then you see someone else with something you wanted it too. But if your parents weren't able to get it for you, you had to do without.
So I got connected with the 9th Cavalry quite early. I was over there most of the time fiddling around with soldiers. They taught me how to ride over there. They taught me most everything about soldiering that I could possibly get as a youngster.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
Japanese attack U.S. naval base in Hawaii without warning. The sneak attack caught the Navy unaware. Many ships were sunk, and many are still on fire. There is tremendous loss of life.
I'm in the Army now. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. Ooh, say goodbye to my baby and the folks back home. I'm joining up and heading out to parts unknown. You see, I couldn't refuse. I got a lot to lose. I'm gonna make it somehow. I got in the Army now. GI Blues. Got my serial number in the infantry. But all the action I've seen has been on KP. Ooh, I'm wearing combat shoes. Ooh, you see, I didn't choose. I'm gonna make it somehow. I got in the Army now, GI Blues.
In 1941, everyone in America began to step to the same beat. Foreign enemies were threatening democracy, but for blacks, democracy was only a word. However, many blacks thought that if they could prove themselves on the battlefield, they would obtain their rights at home.
I went into the Army December the 7th, 1942, 1 year after Pearl Harbor. I was at the theater downtown with my girl, and they cut the picture off and said Pearl Harbor has been bombed. I said, where in the heck is Pearl Harbor? What this got to do with us?
Well, I think I was eating breakfast that morning when I heard that they had bombed Pearl Harbor. Well, I didn't know about Pearl Harbor, so it didn't mean too much to me.
War is horrible. The men who go to war are exposed to the worst that mankind can offer. But for many soldiers like Willie Bailey and Hedrick Humphreys, the war brought forth their humanity and compassion for others. Willie Bailey saw compassion for a fellow wounded soldier who was white and who had nothing but contempt for the men like Bailey.
Well, he was a fighter. He flew a P-38, a fighter plane, and we were in the Pacific. And he got wounded, and he came back. I was in the hospital. This was 49th General Hospital, and he had to have some blood. And I had blood mixed with anybody. And they told him about it. He said he didn't want to take no blood from me. He said Daddy told him that a Negro man wouldn't want a dog. I thought about all of that. I know he was another woman's son. And so the doctor said, this man needs some blood. And he said, you got the same type of blood he needs. So they put my bed up close to his and put a screen between us. And I gave him some blood a couple of times.
When the young fighter pilot recovered from his serious wounds, he wrote to his father about the black man who had saved his life. After the war, Bailey and the father met and became friends. He offered Bailey a job building houses and even gave him a home as a special gift. The healing power of Bailey's compassionate act not only healed the wounds of a fellow soldier, but the hearts of two strangers. For Hedrick Humphreys, one of the many horrors of war was witnessing how the most innocent became victims.
When we got there and saw those people, little war urchins running around, and we got our food, and the Army put everything in one musket, and we couldn't eat that, and throw it in the garbage. And look around, the garbage got 4 or 5 little kids in there. So it was a monastery up on the mountain. All the black soldiers got together and told them, cut our rations in half and give it to the nuns at that monastery for those children. America's been very lucky outside of the Civil War. They've never had a war here. They don't know the horrors of war.
When the 92nd Buffalo Soldier Division came marching home, their ranks had shrunk by almost 1/4. When Art Harness arrived home after 2 years of fighting in the Pacific, he couldn't wait to be reunited with his wife and a son he barely knew.
I got home and I got into Milwaukee Station, and they were celebrating everything that came in there in a uniform was being hugged and kissed and all that sort of stuff. So I got I got out of the train station and went home, and I was walking up and I saw this little kid come walking out. I couldn't believe that's my son. That was the first time I'd seen my son, and he was, I guess, must have been about 15 months.
Just like the Buffalo Soldiers of long ago, black veterans returned from overseas wanting to make a new beginning. The war had changed their attitudes, and they believed they had earned the right to be equal. But there was something different. The war experience had planted the seed in these veterans that a change would come. The struggle for equality began in those early days after the war. The era of protests, voting rights, and political power was on the rise.
I felt in the war that this is what I was fighting for. The white was fighting so he could stay on top. I was fighting to try to get up equal. That's the difference. And when I came back, it didn't make much difference.
I went out to President Truman, and then Independence, I said, and we made a point after President Truman, I said, I went in the Army along with white and black, we all. I said, well, why is it when I was fighting and everything, you said shoot, y'all said kill them, kill them. But now I come back here, I can't even have a decent seat on the bus.
After the war, many black GIs couldn't wait to return to civilian life. But others saw opportunity in the armed forces and made it their career.
Spent my 3 years, and at the end of 3 years, I had been wounded. And that wasn't a good time to get out and try to go to college neither. So I re-enlisted, and 3 went on up to 27 and a half. And so, yes, I'm proud. I would probably never become a sergeant major or nothing else in the military without their training and their endurance, because they taught us how to survive. And the answer was, regardless of what the cause is, continue to soldier. If you soldier long enough, you'll soldier like hell on out of it.
For me to talk to the younger people, I think they need to get a little taste of their history and see what happened, see what black people have done.
And when they told us at Camp Shake on the USS Brazil, said, we're going to go around the Statue of Liberty 3 times. Said, but some of y'all better look at it now.
Yeah, because you won't see it
some of
again.
you won't see it again.
See it again.
So men like me and others have paved the way that for this day, and I'm so happy that I was part of it. But it isn't over with yet. It still got a long way to go, and we have came a long way. And my daddy told me, he said, I don't care how many times they knock you down and put the foot on you, keep on wiggling until you get out money. And then that's what I've been doing all my life.
I was a grown man before I knew much about a Buffalo Soldier, too. In fact, I didn't even know I was one, because very little was talked about it. But every time I get the opportunity to come on track, or photo op, or anything else, I keep on telling the story. So I don't want them to forget us. As General Colin Powell say, he stepped on our backs. And we need them to step on our backs and step on his back.
The bugle is sounding the call to arms. The veterans are part of a heroic legacy. They have joined the ranks of the 9th and 10th Cavalry, the 24th and 25th Infantry, and all the Buffalo Soldiers that have defended America. They embody the spirit of men like Charles Young, Dennis Bell, Freddie Storrs, and John Fox. They all fought for a country that often didn't even see them as men. For their service and sacrifice, they received unemployment, racial violence, and second-class citizenship. Many have kept the faith. They have waited for that one day when their deeds would be honored and they would win their place in history. All of us are standing on their shoulders. And we must keep alive the spirit of these invisible men of honor.